Well, we know what's happening in 13 days from now. The Super Bowl is set as the Kansas City Chiefs are going to take on the San Francisco 49ers in Vegas. Yeah, Sunday, February 11th. So let's break down the action right now and the showdown ahead. TSN Bardown's Luca Celebre joins us. Luca, it's good to see you. It's been a while since you've been joining us here on Breakfast, but let's get into this here. A couple of big games on Sunday. Let's start with the first game. Of course, that was Chiefs-Ravens. The Ravens, of course, one of the best teams in the AFC, but the Chiefs come out on top.
Yeah, they did. And unfortunately for Eric, who usually joins you as a huge Ravens fan, I'm sure he's pretty disappointed this morning. But they had every chance to win that game, I think. And a couple of just interesting coaching decisions, if you're a Baltimore fan, where they didn't run the ball much, which was kind of their superpower all year long. And the Chiefs defense, one of their biggest weaknesses was defending the run, especially after last week. So an interesting kind of strategy from Baltimore, but on the Kansas City side of things, like, we are just witnessing a dynasty. We are witnessing greatness from Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, who is maybe the best playoff player outside of any quarterback, because he's breaking Jerry Rice records and closing in on some more, which those records just seem to be unattainable before he was even close to them. So I just think that what we're witnessing right now can't be overstated, and we got to just appreciate it while it's here. Mahomes is still in his late 20s, which is incredible, but year in and year out, you never know when you're going to get back to this point, and they just keep on doing it. So we just have to appreciate it and truly marvel at it, because this doesn't happen every so often. Yeah,
I mean, they kind of find ways to win, don't they? I mean, you know, whether it was against Buffalo last week or, of course, against Baltimore this week. Mahomes, Kelce, that connection. And like you mentioned, Kelce setting that record or equaling that record, really, he kind of did that pretty quietly. But let's flip. We were also looking at some of the highlights, of course, from the 49ers up against the Lions. The Lions, I think, was everyone's kind of sweetheart pick to make the Super Bowl. It was kind of a Cinderella story. Luca, what do you make of that? Because, you know, there was a headline in the Detroit Free Press, super stunned. I think that describes a lot of people today.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're up 24-7 at halftime in San Francisco, you're thinking you're going to win this game. But I also think for the Lions, it's one of those games they're going to look back on and be like, wow, we had every chance to win, not only with the lead, but just some of the decisions and things that happened late in the game, whether it was drops, an interception that turns into a 50-yard catch, and just an improbable play for San Francisco on the Brandon Ayuk catch, which was just crazy. And I know a lot of the discourse is probably going to be this today and this week in Detroit, just Dan Campbell's decisions, should have kicked the field goal, whatever. But they didn't get to this point by doing that. Their whole identity has been that aggressive team that makes these decisions, and a drop here or there is the deciding factor in the outcome, because I think those decisions are what makes this team so good and makes them the Detroit Lions that are a Super Bowl contender maybe year in year out because of Dan Campbell and the culture he's created. So they don't get to this point without those decisions, and I think that people need to maybe just appreciate that a little more as far as talking about those decisions and saying you maybe should have kicked the field goal and just gone against everything they've done so far this year.
I know Dan Campbell talked about it after the game. He definitely wears his emotions on his sleeve. You know where his head is at, whether he's on the sideline or behind a microphone post-game, Luca. So now we got to look ahead. 2 weeks from yesterday, of course, is going to be the Super Bowl. So we've got Kansas, we've got San Francisco. San Francisco, I think everyone kind of thought they were going to be there. But Kansas back for the fourth time in 50 years. What are the early sort of betting lines? What are we looking at in terms of who's the favorite going in at this point?
I mean, it's hard to believe it. I'm sure San Francisco is going to be the favorite going into this game, and the mantra "never bet against Patrick Mahomes" is probably going to be played for the next 2 weeks. I feel like just the storyline with him and this Chiefs team this year has been so interesting as far as years past go, where they've had to go on the road for the first time in the playoffs, and now he's 2-0 on the road for the first time in the playoffs in his career. And they're going into the Super Bowl as underdogs, even though he's the best quarterback in the league and one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen, if not the greatest when it's all said and done. But this San Francisco team, and this is going to be an interesting rematch from 4 years ago between these two teams in the Super Bowl, where Mahomes won his first. The San Francisco team is outstanding. Offensively, they have so many weapons. Defensively, they are really underrated, I think, especially against the pass, and they can cause this Kansas City team some problems. So I think rightly so, they'll probably be favored in this game. Like you said, they were the team to beat in the NFC all season long, and it's no shock that they've gotten here. Definitely more shocking that the Chiefs have gone here based on how they played this season. But we're in for a great matchup. It's going to be a star-studded affair, both on the field and off the field, and a ton of storylines to talk about all 2 weeks long leading up to the game.
It's really just epic, of course, as all that gets underway, and of course the Taylor Swift coverage as well. Luca Celebre from TSN's Bardown. Always appreciate the conversations. Luca, thanks so much.